they're here for. All right. Now we are going to begin our panel discussion, and I'd like to set the table a little bit. What if we build software around intelligence rather than adding AI later? As many of you already know, that shift is happening today. Instead of rigid SaaS tools with AI layered on top, companies now are starting with a foundational AI model, one that understands context and building workflows around that. That could mean more agility, smarter automation, and entirely new ways of working. We're all fired up about that. So is this the future of enterprise software, and what does it mean for us and our businesses going forward? So to break it down, we have an incredible panel who are coming out here from the audience today, discussing the topic of embracing AI-first approaches to enterprise tech. And I'd like to first welcome up our moderator, Himanshu Jain, who's Associate Vice President of AI and Data Science at CVS Health. And then his panelists who will be joining us, you can step on up as I announce you. Jürgen Weichenberger, Head of AI and Strategy and Innovation at Schneider Electric. Welcome, Jürgen. Trang Nguyen, VP of Data Science at Prudential Financial. Thank you for joining us, Trang. Dave Murray, Head of Enterprise AI and Data Management at Welch's. We have Limor Gulchin, Vice President of AI and Machine Learning at Berkshire Partners. And that's our crew. So Himanshu, thank you for volunteering to do this. So I think you're going to do great. I'll be off here to the side. And can we please have a round of applause to warm up this group? Came out here on the firing line to share their piece. The other two mics are live. Himanshu, this is for you. And our panelists, you will share these mics amongst yourselves. This is the beginning of the community sharing and collaboration that we're going to do all day, right? So good luck.
Thanks, Nick. All right. So what a great topic for our first panel. My name is Himanshu Jain. I'm an AVP at CVS Health for data science, focusing primarily on the Aetna health insurance business. And today, while here, I'm in a personal capacity, so whatever I'm going to speak is my personal opinion and not for CVS. So we are going to do a quick round of introduction here. Jürgen, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Himanshu. It's a pleasure to be here, and good morning to everyone. So, as Nick said, I'm responsible for AI strategy and innovation at Schneider Electric, which is a super cool industrial AI. Still, we're playing with tons and tons of technologies to get them to value. I mean, me personally, I'm 25 years in the AI space, so I have seen a lot of things coming and going, but the one thing which is consistent for me is the old things which were developed 30 years ago are now really what people are super keen on today, and I keep it there.
Hi everyone, Trang Nguyen, Vice President of Data Science at Prudential Financial. Just a quick introduction about Prudential. We are a Fortune 100 financial services company. So in my role at Prudential, I head up the data science organization for corporate functions. So I work with functions like audit, risk, compliance, HR, etc. to apply AI and help them improve productivity, save costs, and mitigate risk. So overall, I have about 20 years of experience in analytics and AI. So I'm very excited about all the things that everyone is doing with AI, doing at my company. So would love to share more my perspective today, and those are my personal opinions and representing my company.
Hello, my name is Dave Murray. I'm head of enterprise AI and data management at Welch's. We're a mid-sized CPG company in the food and beverage space, and my role really focuses around AI, but also in the data management space, right? Making sure that we've got the right information flowing into our systems, building out data governance councils, and also really heavy in the education space, right? Making sure that we have an educated workforce on the capabilities of AI and the importance of clean and usable data. So I'm really excited to hear from everyone today and learn more about your spaces as well.
All right, and I'm Limor Golchin, VP of AI and Machine Learning at Berkshire Partners. We are a private equity fund based in Boston with a little bit of a public security side as well. I work across our internal teams, our investment professionals who are looking for AI tools, as well as our portfolio companies. We're invested in about 35 to 40 different companies across healthcare, tech, IT services, digital infrastructure, manufacturing and industrials, and business and consumer services. So it's a really exciting time to see how the technology affects all of them and trying to help them along the journey. My background is in machine learning research. I completed a PhD before joining Berkshire and was involved in machine learning research for about 10 years in different capacities now, and for the past 2.5 years trying to see how this technology applies to the enterprise world.
So you've got 4 expert panelists with a lot of experience and knowledge and expertise, and you've got one mediocre moderator. Let's see how this goes. So we want to start with why AI first, right? Like what we are going to get from using an AI first approach, and is it actually going to provide the benefits, or is it going to cause the instability in the traditional SaaS approach that we already have very successfully working across enterprises? So I want to start trying with you, if you want to kick us off to talk about that.
Sure, thank you. So I think there are a lot of benefits. So I will talk about the benefits from a couple of different perspectives. So for example, from a customer or end consumer standpoint, with the AI first approach, that will significantly enhance their experience. It will be more personalized, they will get more out of your products and services. From an employee standpoint, let's use the expense report as an example. So today, after you travel, to a conference like this, you go home, you have to open a report and you enter a number of fields. But with AI, it's going to be very easy. You just need to describe in a few sentences, or just do a screenshot of your travel report, and it will do everything for you. And from an employee standpoint, for example, my team over the past 1 to 2 years, we have seen significant faster time to market in terms of AI development. So it used to take us 6 to 9 months to develop an in-house solution, but now with Gen AI, it's much shorter, 2 to 3 months, I would say. So those are the key benefits that I've seen.
Thank you. Anyone else from the panel?
So I think for us, it's about flexibility, right? Now in the age that we live in now, that there's a lower barrier to entry for people to ideate on maybe ideas that they have that they want to try out. There's a lower cost to be able to do that, share your ideas, and work more collaboratively, utilizing readily available AI tools, whether they're off the shelf or if you're building in-house. But as I mentioned before, right, that education piece is so important, because when you do put that work up front to kind of educate your workforce, I'm speaking more from the employee perspective, that the solutions that you build in-house are coming from the ground up rather from the top down. So that flexibility and the ability to hear from the people within your organization provides higher usability with the products you produce.
Yeah, so already great points. I will try to say things that weren't said so far, but it really is fascinating how the new wave of AI machine learning, the generative piece of it, seems to democratize the access to data analytics, as well as just the automation piece and the generation of new types of deliverables, which could mean different things for different stakeholder groups. Working with so many different companies that we're invested in across industries really is eye-opening in terms of the opportunities that you can see across businesses and the the business landscape. So you could see anything from software development, obviously, that is changing at a pace that we've never seen before, and a lot more people putting their hands on coding projects, data analysis projects that previously required mediators. You could really experiment with ideas super quickly and have business decision makers giving certain demos a try themselves, as well as just the speed to value that software teams are starting to see is quite remarkable. Just the development of new features, the level of documentation and testing, the speed with which bugs are being fixed or new issues or PRs being merged on GitHub, we're starting to see an uptick in that. Measurement is an interesting point. A lot of people are struggling with exactly how to materialize the productivity gains that they're seeing, but everyone anecdotally is reporting that and starting to integrate that into their software development lifecycle. So that's certainly one area. Customer service is another piece that's completely being transformed and was already alluded to. But then I would say it's incredible to see within manufacturing and field services, for example, not necessarily the first areas you would think about of being touched by AI machine learning, a lot of opportunities for digital twins, simulations, optimization, which could have been done with machine learning for a while, but actually, for example, tapping into unstructured data that previously would have required a whole multi-year journey into cleaning and structuring data being really streamlined and being taken in their raw form and being automatically structured. Having said that, human in the loop is still quite important, and this is another piece that people need to appreciate. The technology is not perfect, and it's a lot around context management to make it useful. But yeah, really it's transformational for businesses across the landscape. Healthcare is another area where, of course, there are some regulatory barriers, but transformation's happening at a neck-breaking speed. And then when it comes to our own experience with our investment teams, of course, a lot of the research pieces, information gathering, and then analysis and consolidation, and the output of new types of report or new types of analyses could be completely transformed through this technology. So the pace and the scale and the volume of, let's say, new businesses that we could be looking at is already taking place. Just a few thoughts, and I'm sure we will keep diving into it.
That's definitely, yeah, like we heard about personalization, democratization, the ability to get to the market at a much faster pace than what we can do with our traditional environment. So when you think about enterprise IT, what comes to mind is security. What else comes to mind? You've got rigid workflows, right? But then when you think about AI first, you are thinking about intelligence, right? Personalization. So that's all sounds great, but I would like to also see, are there any challenges, or what is the biggest hurdle for us to get to that AI first approach? And we would like to start with you.
So there's one basic rule: there is no AI without data, and that's where everything starts. If you don't have access to the data, yeah, you can dream of having the greatest and best AI. It's not gonna happen. So locations or systems which is difficult to access, or like me working a lot in regulated industries where you just have like regulators telling you you cannot do this with your data because of European AI Act, or there's rumors that there will be an AI constitution in the United States, and lots of other stuff is happening there. So this is already the first hurdle, which can make a lot of things very difficult. And then if you manage to get over this, you get very quickly in AI ethics. Is this what you are doing actually ethical, agreeable or not? So there is a series of complications, but everything starts with data. If you can't get your data, you don't have AI. You have a lot of cool dreams. And from there on, it gets easier. But it depends then for us. We deploy global solutions. So if I build something here in the US and I believe I can use it in Europe, I will have a bad awakening the next day. And we haven't even spoken about the rest of the world. So there is a lot of things around. Today you have to think it's not just, okay, let's build some fancy algorithms, build some fancy conversational UIs, and you can get going on an industrial scale. It works in the university because it's testing, but for us in the industry, we have to deal with all these regulations, and sometimes regulations are really showstoppers for us. So that's a bit of a starting point.
It's a very good point, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, those are great points. So I just want to add two challenges. So one is related to technology. So we are talking about overhauling how we are doing things today. So that will require changes in infrastructure. It will require a lot of investment. And at the same time, if you've seen, over the past 2 years, the pace of change in technology, especially in AI, has been really fast. So 2 years ago, all of us here in the room was probably, talking about experimenting with GPT models, and now, we're already talking about agentic AI, autonomous agent, things like that. So how to manage the very fast pace of change is important. At the same time, another challenge I want to highlight is in terms of the people aspect, especially change management. And in my personal experience, technology accounts for probably 30% of the time, but working with people, doing change management, making sure that people understand and adopt the AI solutions, consumes 70% of our time. So I think these are the two challenges.
I think for me, this is probably preaching to the choir, right? But the data management aspect, all right? The establishment of data governance councils, right? Understanding what the hierarchy within your organization is on how data is going to be managed and controlled and maintained going forward, right? That's an incredibly important part, and it's something I think a lot of organizations are realizing as they're looking to bring on AI, right? And they're realizing, oh, I can't do that. Or maybe they're not realizing it, right? And they're trying and they're getting poor results. So that sort of feeds into my next point, right? Which is also around managing expectations. And there's a lot of excitement around AI, and there should be. And the challenge, though, right, is that people want to, okay, I've heard about this, I don't know anything outside of what I've seen either in the media or what I've experienced myself using large language models, but it's amazing, we have to implement it, we have to do it now. And that excitement's great, that's gonna drive change, but at the same time, you have to make sure that the people understand what the steps are to get to that next point, whether it's the education piece, the data management piece, and getting to that level. So I think it's important. Sometimes you have to maybe seem like a wet blanket in certain instances when people want to implement these things, but it's about doing it in the right order.
Yeah, so challenges, there's no lack of those, for sure. All the ones that were mentioned are completely on point. Tooling is one interesting area where it feels like a lot is being offered right now. It's hard to choose the ones that are going to stay there tomorrow. So investing too early in something that may go away is a pain point we're hearing from a lot of people, and concerns around how to pick the right one, what's prime time ready. The honest answer a lot of times is that most things are not prime time ready. If we're talking about agentic orchestration layers and infrastructure, let's say from trusted providers like, well, I'm not going to name a few of them here, but we're seeing pain points with that when you're starting to push projects to the edge of what agents should be allowing us to do. But reliability, observability, consistency of performance from different endpoints we're hitting, token consumption. All of these could really become challenging. Agents in general are a very interesting breed to try and tame. I don't know how many of you have attempted that, but it's an interesting concept to have something pass at K versus something that reliably performs actions at a reliable, consistent manner. So that's another area that's definitely there. Questions around ROI are very relevant. You need to become quite good at context management, and then the next model comes out, and everything starts from scratch again. So we're still in the process of maturing, I think, in terms of the tech stack, in terms of the cost of operating some of these systems, and in terms of learning how to run them reliably.
What a fun time, isn't it? We've got expectations from everyone around us to deliver on the promise of AI. And the one point I want to drill down more into is the ROI and the priorities that many of you mentioned. So is it going to be more about, hey, I want to make use of AI for the quick wins, where I can layer on just on top of my existing workflows and infuse intelligence where possible? Or should companies bet big on, no, I'm going to start completely re-architecting how I'm doing HR, how I'm doing CRM, or ERP, or any of those. So what are your thoughts? And maybe you want to start with Dave first?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for me, it's a depends answer, right? Which is the answer nobody wants to necessarily give out. But it sort of depends where you are in the journey, right? Are you an organization that's very tech forward and you're comfortable with change and you're able to implement maybe some large scale changes right off the bat and get, spend 18 months, 12 months working on that project, and then have a big, unveiling, and it's a big deal within the organization? Or, and I think for me this is more common, is that you're maybe coming at it slightly apprehensive, you're not exactly sure where it's going to land, and the quicker wins are going to yield more adoption across the organization, the art of the possible, right? We can do this, well, if we can do that, then can we try this? And then you start to get more ideation from within the organization itself, and that can provide the rolling ball that will, eventually bring you to a more tech-forward, data-first type of organization.
Anyone else?
So when you said ROI and quick wins, so there's a bit of I would say, fatigue of people. They're hearing this very, very often. Oh yeah, you get ROI in 2 years, and it's quickly done. But the part is often, we need to often more solutions which are long-term sustainable. So where you say it's not just about ROI, it is about total value delivered. So when you say, hey, look, let's look in a 5 years period, how much value can we actually achieve? And that is where then the change of process becomes relevant, because with these quick wins, oh yeah, let's put a quick patch on this, it works for a limited period of time, it may just get its ROI, and everybody says, okay, yeah, the money which went in came back, but there's no net gain. It's just like, okay, I put $1 million in, I got $1 million back. That's not really improvement. This is just like patching steps up. So we're seeing now more, okay, how can we establish AI in the process so that this becomes a consistent value delivery and not just a little bit here, a little bit there. And when we looked at the end of the year, we actually still spent more money than we made. So that's not what we want anymore. So I think this is really there's a huge fatigue of hearing POCs, MVPs, quick wins. And now how do we, if we want to get AI as being part of the game, we have to attack to change the standard operating procedures. And this is for many companies a big, big pain, because if you have done something for 20 years and it has, generally speaking, worked, why should I change? So you will run a lot of people who should ask you the why question. They said, yeah, AI is fancy, but why do we need to change? And this is where I think Trang said at the beginning, the people play a pivotal role. So if you don't take them on the AI journey, they will at some point starting to resist. And if you run in resistance, then you can have the best AI in the world. It's not going to be adopted. If it's not adopted, you not generate value. And then you be back to field one. And I think this is something really important now to say. We need to go to more fundamental things. I think everybody sees the value of AI is there, because it's proven by many POCs, prototypes, quick win projects. But I see more and more the question from our office of the CFO to say, hey, how can we make this sustainable on the long run, that this becomes really a consistent money maker? And I think it's like field services. We do a lot in field services. Get it sticky there, get it used, because this is 20,000 activities per day. So that's really key for us.
So that's a very interesting perspective, and again, I'm going to ask one follow-up on that quickly. Do you think in the next 5 years there'll be something mind-blowing in enterprise tech that will also be sticky? Any example that comes to your mind? What do you think will be mostly with your seats?
Man, we heard in enterprise tech many mind-blowing things. Take the friends from Waldorf. They came out and said, you use our tools the way we prescribe it to use, and you become 100x better, more efficient, less cost, less employees, and all that stuff. So we heard that many, many times. The interesting thing is there is mind-blowing changes, but it happens not from the tech provider. It happens by the companies who are applying the tech, because they're finding ways to cross over what they need with the mind-blowing tech. And we heard the term agents. I'm doing agents since 1996. Where people will say, hey, in 1996 there were no agents. That's the first big mystery. It's not true. Agent theory exists for 30 years. And if we get this right, and that will most likely change significantly the industry. I wouldn't use the term revolutionize, but the impact it will generate will be tremendous. And if you just listen, there's some new terms, A2A, MCP, Ananda, because people realize agents are only effective if they talk to each other. And it's the same thing. Humans are effective if they start to talk to each other. So it's this thing. This can be something weaved together when you get your enterprise tools to actually talk to each other, mediated by agents, where, let's say, the two worlds help each other out. So that's a bit of a perspective I have.
Thanks for sharing. So one more question on the ROI and the priorities, and how do we think from the enterprise scale?
Big topic. So I think we're starting to see some projects that are delivering ROI already. I would say it's in areas where the cost bucket is very clear today. It's either you have a whole team that generates a certain kind of report. And if you can automate the process of either information gathering or report generation or the way that you surface information that's needed for that piece, you can see benefits that are tremendous. You can start by building a very rigorous evaluation set. Start with a frontier model that you see right now. The cost will keep declining over time. People will want to move to the next shiny model as it comes out. But if you have the right evaluation in place to show that the performance you're looking for is achieved by the previous level or the models that get cheaper and cheaper, I think that's the best course that we have towards realizing that ROI and being consistent with the performance we're trying to achieve and breaking down the different pieces that are needed for the system into their own individual components that you can evaluate and fit the right model for the right task. So I think that's one thing that it requires a certain type of discipline, both to build an evaluation set, to get stakeholder approval that this is the way a certain output should look like, or this is how we should be evaluating it. This is actually an interesting point as well for the change management aspects of things. When you start building evaluation data sets, you realize, first of all, your historical data or the way that you used to perform a certain process may not necessarily be the optimal way. And that invites a process re-examination as well as some collective work around standardization of what do we want the canonical output to look like. But if we can achieve that and we have the right governance in place, that would also help us establish the path towards realizing value and keeping our costs at bay. So I've seen that work in a couple of projects. I've also seen projects where that is much trickier, but it's one risk.
Fail fast, try more. Yeah, I mean, there's immense value in actually re-architecting the whole end-to-end process and workflows, but that's also where you see most of the disruption, both good and bad, right? And there's so much challenge in training and change management and resetting the whole thing. And so it's going to be really interesting to see like where does the value shake out. So finally, I would like to end with one piece around the organization dynamics, right? And if you think about using AI first, then that's going to provide a lot more power with the IT and data teams within the org, or is it going to actually benefit all the functions within an enterprise? Trang, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So I think initially there will be a lot of dependency on the IT and data teams because we're talking about very new technology here. So we need experts like data scientists, machine learning engineers, or in the future I think that we call AI engineers probably, and to help set up, to help evaluate the systems. But in the long term, I think for to truly gain the benefits out of AI technology, we need to have end users to use the products, and not just using the products, but also creating their own AI solutions, and that's being made more and more easier because of the low code and no code solutions. So in the long term, I think there will be more democratization of AI development. Again, in the long term, the IT and data teams will continue to be important, especially in terms of making sure that there's strong governance in place, making sure that the agents perform as expected, and taking care of all types of risk management and security.
Very good points, totally. Any other perspectives on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely aligned that your data teams, AI teams, IT are going to own the creation of that paved road that the functions are going to be on. And I think the future forward, right, is that we get the data, the technology to the point where then those functions own the output, right? They're going to go in and utilize the tools that we've created, right? And the output of that is then the responsibility of those organizations to do what they need to do with it. And if we're doing our job, we're making their job much easier. So it's really about how you organize it. I suppose you could be very IT heavy, own the entire process, own the output, and then the functions are your customer. But I think the empowerment of the function itself is really how you're going to drive forward and take the responsibility onto ourselves to make sure that we're giving them a clear path forward.
Cool. So I'm going to maybe ask many more questions, but I would like to see if there are any questions from the audience.
Hi, my name is Ken Longo. I work at Wave Life Sciences. We're a biotech company in the greater Boston area working on oligonucleotide therapeutics. My question actually ties into the last thing you were talking about, and I think it was the first thing, and it's really around this democratization. And what are your thoughts on how it is going to affect governance? Who's responsible for bad AI software, right? What do you do in an organization where somebody can tell a code assistant to build a new UI for a certain type of chat application that produces a report that ends up being very inaccurate, right? Is it that, well, I have failed as a head of data science, or my organization has failed to really explain to them how GPT-5 works and what's happening under the hood? Or do they own that? What's the agreement in the organization? And what does this really mean for how data science teams are, right now they're centralized, but we're really talking about moving towards a future where essentially each function has to have its own kind of data science expert to be the AI whisperer.
So what we have established early was what we call an hub and spoke model. So you can't diminish the end user to just being, okay, tell us your requirements and go away and let the cool guys doing their job, and then you come back with a solution. That's not gonna fly, because you will, and I take our field service reps, you get 2 shots. 2 times it's wrong, the AI is wrong. No, they're not gonna ask who was wrong at the end of the day, or what went wrong in the process. They would just say, it doesn't work, I'm not gonna use it, thank you very much, job done. And you spent $10 million to build something, and it's not gonna be used. So there has to be a change in the way how you build. So this is for us starts in governance, where the business needs to take ownership, and they have to be very clear on what means success for them. When can they effectively use a tool in operations at scale and hence produce value? So if this clarity doesn't exist, then you build lots of shiny objects which are cool, but nobody's going to use them. In a point when we're not going to spend any more money on that stuff. So it means the governance really has to start even before you start building, and everybody needs to know what IT will do at the end of the day. They will build the solution, they will operate the framework, but they are not the users of the solution. And this is a very critical thing, is the user needs to be comfortable and has the trust that it works. And neither the data scientists can do that, nor the IT can do this, because it's not their job. So that means you need to tell these guys in the first thing, hey, your job is give us the right specifications and take care that your people trust the solution. There is certain tasks for the researchers about explainability, which is a huge topic, because what we often see is people build black box solutions, massive black boxes, and then throw it in front of the users and say, whatever the box says, you do. And it's still, I think Lumina said it's the human in the loop. The human presses the button, the human executes this. And we hold the human still liable when it's wrong. So it means as long as that is the case, this is not going to work. And this is also the reason, which is the best example for me in the automotive industry in Germany. I was speaking with all the guys. They said we could do self-driving cars 15 years ago, no problem technically. But they didn't do it because it was not clear who is liable if an autonomous driving car, but the passenger has no way to interfere anymore. Who is liable if this has a crash? Because the passenger will say, I have no pedals, I have no steering wheel. It's not my liability anymore. And if you be the manufacturer of the car, you will be very careful. This is the very same story now we have with AI in industrial things. So that's why governance and the integration of the the guys who execute is the critical part.
I think we have time for one more response from our panel.
Yeah, so this is a fascinating topic. We've seen the projects that were the most successful are co-owned by a business owner and a technical owner, and you can't really move with one and not the other. Subject matter expertise is extremely important with this technology because it's so general in the type of outputs that it performs. It's no longer something that tech teams can build themselves somewhere outside of view. And it's also very hard to gather requirements that are consistent and are not changing in the face of the outputs that people are seeing and responding to and continuously refining. So two in a box is the model that we've seen work the best. And the other thing I'll just say is evaluation. Come up with a good evaluation set that your subject matter expertise can sign on or develop themselves and can own. And that would also drive usage going forward by them because they will become the champions of the type of outputs that your system performs. And in terms of liability, it's going to be shared by the team that build things. I think we should empower business or decision makers, stakeholders to build their own solutions, but then be able to own them and see IT as enablers in that process. I think part of the enablement is also bringing rigor to the evaluation piece of things and insisting on not just seeing some outputs work or sometimes work, but really come up with a consistent way to measure precision, recall, all the good metrics that we care about as data professionals.
Let's have a round of applause for our first excellent opening panel discussion today. And for our fearless leader, Himanshu, leading the charge there. Great questions, Himanshu. Excellent answers from everybody. I don't know about you folks, but I think we can tell this is going to be good today. We've got real leaders, practitioners with great individual stories to tell, and we're just going to be hearing from each other and sharing the best practices. It's really great.